What happened? Did you snap?
Okay, Rabbi, ready?
I didn't snap. Do I get to see myself?
I don't want. It's gonna throw you off if you see yourself.
Do they see these cards?
No.
Listen, why do you do someone calls my phone?
Don't worry, I'll take care of it.
Oh my gosh, I'm looking at myself all the time.
No, I'm gonna get. So this is the screen. I'm gonna get rid of that.
1 o'clock.
And do you want to look at yourself? Does that help you?
No.
No.
Negative.
So we'll just do
Well,
like
control
that.
before.
Okay, and it's live. So we're live already. Just letting you know. Listen, come inside.
I'm just looking.
Okay. Let me start over here.
They call me Rabbi Dove.
So you look at. That's really annoying. These two cameras. Okay. Hang on a second. What? Stop. Okay, 1 second. We got people coming on. Hang on a second. Okay, we got 5 people over here. Alright, guys. We are starting now. This is our Pinchas Weinberger, Rabbi of Kehilas based field of Inwood, Rosh Hashiva Shiva Nishmas Torah. It's a pleasure to have him, and we are going to have a little bit of a speech, and at the end, we will be open to questions. Rabbi Weinberger, without further ado.
Thank you very much. Nachi, as always, it's a pleasure to, at least for the first time, not only to talk to you, but to be on the first time, to be on Meaningful Minute. It's you hear such wonderful feedback, and you don't stop hearing from people how it's made such a difference in their lives. So I'm happy to try to add to that difference that we're doing, and talk about a certain topic. Simcha is the general topic, but I think it's a little bit of a. We'll focus on one nakuda, one point of that, and hopefully we'll all walk away with something a little transformative. I think we're all aware of the famous the head of the Japanese consulate, his name was Sugihara. And at the end of the part of the Holocaust, when he was giving all of his visas, so he had the ability to document and to stamp your visa to give you transit, which will allow many people to travel on and to travel further. And in other words, in essence, saving their lives. And when the Japanese chapped on, when they realized what he was realized what was doing, so they gave him 48-hour notice to vacate the premises and to take a train back to his country. And obviously, in the next 48 hours, he told his wife you pack up the children, you pack up the entire house, and he worked nonstop, day and night, just stamping visa after visa after visa, adding thousands of visas already, more than what he had done initially. To the point where even on the way to the train, he was stamping visas. In the train, through the window, he's busy stamping more and more as people's outstretched arms are busy with their documents. Please, stamp this visa, stamp mine. And he's begging, and as the train pulls away, the Amshanav Rebbe says over, who was present, he says, you see hundreds of arms outstretched with their document. Please, stamp my visa, but to no avail. As the train moved on, the train traveled on. He was saying this over before Ne'ilah, how he said he imagines every single year, this is how it looks by Ne'ilah, where Hashem is able to stamp visas, gives you a new set, a new year. And there's hundreds and thousands of outstretched arms. Please stamp mine. Zachreinu l'chaim, chasmeinu l'chaim. Give us a signature of life. Give us one of Chaim Tovim. We're crying out, we're begging out. Obviously Hashem is different because the train doesn't move on. Hashem is always there. Maybe the auspicious time of Yom Kippur is not here anymore, but Hashem is always here. And I think in that idea is something also when we discuss Simcha. Simcha, happiness, from what many people believe is something which belongs to the elite and is so elusive. It's something which belongs to only a small club. These are the happy people. These are the ones who are besimcha, which of course is nothing further than the truth than that. Simcha is something which is universal. Simcha is felt by everybody. I'll give an example. Everyone's hearing in a shiur, someone saying over how he was once walking with his young daughter in a not the greatest of neighborhoods, until he realized where he was. He became a little bit disoriented, and he felt very, very scared. He didn't realize what he was doing until his little daughter said, "Daddy, you're squeezing my hand. You're really hurting me." He realized that he was scared. She happened to have not been scared, because what does she know? She's oblivious to her surroundings. But he was scared. He relaxed his arm, but he did feel who knows what's going to be. And before long, he sees an individual with a towering stature, with a thug-look mentality, heading towards his direction. And he's like, do I cross the street? On the other hand, I might get him more angry, more upset. If I cross the street, then maybe he's going to run after me. On the other hand, if I go right past him, who knows? Maybe he'll punch me out. So he decided he's just going to think Einay Movada. He's going to think it's all about you, Hashem. Give me Siyat Shmai, and he's walking by. And he's nodding his head, and his daughter, with a huge smile, just like waves her hand and says, hi. And this towering thug of an individual looks down, stops, gives the smile that probably hasn't smiled so brightly in his life. And he says, hi. And he turns to the father and he says, you have such a cute, nice daughter. And he says, thank you so much, have a wonderful day, and he passes on. And he said, just realize, children have simcha inherently. We all do. Simcha is inherent. We're happy people. It's just unfortunately, as life goes on, or as parents sometimes we do to our children, or we do to ourselves, or others do for us, is that we kind of get them a little more depressed, obviously not medically or clinically, but we get ourselves a little bit down, and life gets heavy and serious. And that innocence, that purity, that sincerity, that simcha, that state of happiness that we all have, and we were in access to, slowly comes into oblivion as if we don't have it anymore. Which of course is not true, it's there. Simcha is inherent. Simcha is a midah that we have within us. We just have to access it. Children sing and talk and a niggin with a little bit of a lilt to it. Children hop, they skip, they jump. But as we get a little bit older, we're already krechzing, we're already moaning, we're already down. And we're walking and we don't feel like we want to run again. We don't feel like we want to hop and skip. We don't laugh as much. We need an extra reason to laugh. Why is that the case? And how do we bring that back to us? So Shimshon Pinchas brings out, not discussing this, discussing another aspect, that there's two parts. The Navi says, Lo yizeh haderech v'lo yizeh ha'ir. That there's two components in life. There's a derech and there's an ir. There's a way, there's like a pathway, a highway, and then there's a city, which is a destination. You take a highway to get to somewhere. So we're all aware of the highway. That's life. We're all part of the idea. Let's talk about something focused, something specifically. We all just went through a Rosh Hashanah, an Elul, a Rosh Hashanah, an Aseret Yemei Tshuva, an Erev Yom Kippur. And now we're moving on to Sukkot. That was the derech. That was the path. What's the ear? What's the goal? What's the matara? What's the purpose of it all? What's the goal of this idea that we're heading towards, that we have all this happening? So if you look at the end of, obviously, entire Yom Tiv, the end of Tishrei, by Simchas HaTorah, we scream at Atah Reis El Adas, Ki Hashem Hu Elokim Ein Od Milvado. As it seems, as the Svarim tell us, the focus of it all is to get to that point of clarity, of Ein Od Milvado. There is nothing else besides Hashem. It's just us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's just us and God. It's just us and the Rabbi Shalom. When you feel that sense of clarity, you feel that sense, then you know you're accomplishing the mission. Then you know you have that dveikus, you have that sense of full-fledged clarity and understanding of what we're living for. There's nothing greater. I think we all look into ourselves, depending on different stages where we're on. It could be all of us have experienced different stages in our life. Sometimes, whether you're at the happiest stage of your life, be it at a wedding, be it at a birth of a child, a birth of a grandchild, you feel that Ein Od Milvado. There's like nothing between you and Hashem. You're an open witness to miracles. And even at the time of Lo Yaleinu, unfortunately, terrible tragedy, a terrible tsaris, we feel so alone in the world. But it's alone with Hashem. It's alone. Doesn't mean it feels so great. It could feel uncomfortable. It could feel downright painful, obviously. Terribly painful. But we know who we turning to at that time. Who we asking for comfort. Who we asking for consolement. Who we're asking for chizuk. We're turning to Hashem. After everything's said and done, it's Ein Od Milvado. Look, we discussed Yonah HaNavi. Yonah is given a mission. What does he do? He aborts the mission. He says, this mission is not for me, I'm not going to Nineveh. He runs to some ship as if to escape Hashem. Moshe obviously was L'Shem Shemayim for right reasons. He escapes, and what does a person do when they escape? They distract themselves. What's the best form of distraction? You go to sleep. So he goes to sleep while there's a storm outside. We have a mission, we're driving somewhere, he goes to sleep. And finally, after working on everyone else, the captain goes down to him and he says, wake up, call to your God, we need his help. And Yonah's woken up and he realizes he can't escape anywhere. And he says, throw me over. And he finds himself where? In a fish. So he's in a fish on the bottom of an ocean. There's nothing else. What does he do? He calls out to Hashem, I want your Beis Hamikdash. I want to see you again. I want to experience. I want to do for you. I praise you. I thank you. Because that's Ein Malvadai. That's that simcha when you get to that clarity. Ein simcha ela katarsa svegis. Simcha is a sense of clarity. Our job in this life is to make clarity out of all the confusion that we have. There is so much confusion going on in our lives. There is so much confusion going on in today's society. Whether it's the global village, whether it's our own whether it's the Jewish community or our own personal families. There is so much confusion and we're just looking for clarity. People that can make sense of clarity are living their mission. They're living Ein Malvadai, realizing HaKadosh Baruch Hu in this world. We could be changing jobs, looking for parnasa, looking for health, looking for shidduchim, looking for chinuch habanim, for children, for that they should, be on the straight path, do what's right, live a yashristic lifestyle, be fine, upstanding Jewish people, looking for emotional health, physical health, spiritual health, mental health. And we know the ultimate. Of course, we do our rishtadus to try to find whatever can get us to where we can. But after everything's said and done, who do we turn to? It's God. It's Hashem. It's the Rabbanu Shalom. Ein Oid Malvadai. That's the simcha. That's the clarity. That's what we're looking for. My wife was leading a tour. Leading the tour. She was on the tour. She had organized the tour. Rabbi Krohn actually was leading the tour, and of her school. And they'd gone to the Beis HaKfaris, the cemetery, was a few days before Yom Kippur. And they'd gone to Rav Pam's kever. And they went to Rav Pam, and there was right in front, there was a van that came out with a Rebbe and a whole bunch of Bachrim. And the Rebbe had explained that he's taking these 10 boys to make a minyan by Rav Pam's kever. And the minyan was for the Rebbe's friend. I think he lived in Eretz Yisrael, and he couldn't make it. And he's been suffering tremendously. His whole family's went through a lot. And he feels that it has a lot to do with the fact that years and years ago, Rav Pam told him, he gave him a certain mission. And he aborted that mission. He said it wasn't for him and he's not doing it. And he's felt such pain and such suffering that he feels it's only because of this. And please, if you could ask Rav Pam to be Mavakish Rachman, to ask for mercy on his behalf, and to ask Mechila, obviously, if there's anything which he had done wrong. Because we live for one reason and one reason only. God gave your special neshama, each one of us, a special reason why we're in this world here. And it's because we have a mission to accomplish. And in each one of us have a way to expel all of that distraction, all of that confusion that humanity is faced with today. And if we have an ability to give clarity to that, then that's our job. If we could bring simcha into our lives, that's our job. Access the simcha that we have internally. And of course, if we could do that by those around us, the more besimcha we are, the more clear, the more betachan that we have, that we face, that we exhibit, everyone around us, it filters down, it changes their lives as well. So a question obviously everyone asks, has been asked by Svarim already hundreds of years ago. If Hashem is perfect, and the world, if He created the world, and the world is perfect, so how could the world be so horrible? How can we live in such a decadent society? How could the world be so terrible, so full of pain, so full of disruption, corruption? How's that possible? So Tveres Yisrael explains, it says, Kina, Taiva v'akavad, Metzinas Adam Olam, jealousy, false desire, honor, looking for in the wrong places, take a person out of the world. The world is perfect. It's when we seek and we go after everything else that distracts us. To people please. To just look over our shoulders, what everyone else is thinking, what everyone else is doing, and that's the only way we're living our lives. Then you're not living to your missions. Of course we're not happy. We're not sticking to it. But at the end of Ne'ilah, we all felt a little bit of that sense that we're above it all. We felt that clarity. We knew Hashem Hu Elokim, there's nothing else that exists. Yes, we can't live that type of mode all year round. But that gives us a sense what we're really living for. When we're in touch with what our mission is, with our clarity, then we're fully besimcha. We're fully benachas. We might not have everything else that the person next to us has. He might have more, officially less, as if we know what goes on by other people. But the point is, at least we have our clarity. I know what I need. I know what I have and what I need for my mission. Concluding just a few minutes, someone had asked Rav Shmuel Birnbaum what he would have said when he asked one of his daughters what he would have said before Yom Kippur. She said, I'll tell you what he did say to his daughters, what he said to me. He said, life is like an ocean. Paraphrasing a little bit, it wasn't exactly his words. He says, when the waves come, bow down, bend down. And after they roll over you, stand back up again. He says, because throughout life, we all have waves that hit us. But if you're going to stand up straight and think it's all about you, it's about my money, it's about my yichus, it's about my looks, it's about my prestige, it's about my position, my popularity, and a storm hits you at some given point in your life, you fall right back down, and it's much harder to get up. Sometimes the weight of the wave, the force of it could be a tsunami. We're done. But if you realize that's coming from Hashem, those waves, those are messages given to you to retain, to keep to your mission, and you bow down, we're subservient to it. We realize that it's about you, Hashem, not about me, it's about you. You lead me. Then the wave passes right by us, and we have the ability to stand up. And we're a lot of daven that it should get more placid. We're coming to a point where we're approaching Sukkot. And obviously, as you've realized, as the life just gets more, we've just discovered, whether it's in Las Vegas, going through the hurricanes in El, where we realize that life is just seemingly going out of control. It's beyond. We're losing control over what's going on. Clearly, we have nothing. Even in our America, we always felt so safe. It's clearly eroding, whether it's from the weather, natural causes, demented people, evil people, whatever it is. We're out of control. We don't have the ability. We realize more and more how it's all HaKadosh Baruch Hu. No matter where we go, who's watching over us? It's Hashem. And the question is, now is the time more than ever to get to that point of clarity, to bring out that point of clarity. We know by Korach, it says, Rabbi Bar and the Gemara says how by Korach, he heard the cries of Korach saying, Moshe emes v'sayrasa emes v'him ba'doyim. Moshe is the truth, the Torah is the truth, and everything else is a lie, is a joke. For 2,000 years, if you make a calculation, it means he's been saying it at that time, the time of the Gemara, for 2,000 years. And on another that, we're talking about almost 4,000 years, 3,500 years, he's been crying out, Moshe emes v'sayrasa emes. Understand this. If you would have cried out once, at the right time, Moshe emes v'sayrasa emes, one time, when he was down there in the pit, after he lost already, after Hashem showed everyone that Moshe is right, and he was wrong. His sons did tshuva. They got up, they got out, they survived. They lived wonderful lives. Their grandchildren, as we know, were learning Torah, were wonderful Yidden. But Korach refused to give in. So for thousands of years afterwards, he's still crying. One time, a misplaced cry. If he would have cried at the right time, how much would he have saved by not crying afterwards? We all have these messages that Hashem gives us at times when it's painful. But if we shore ourselves up, if we have more confidence, more pride in what we're doing, we have more sense of conviction of our mission, of what we're trying to accomplish, then the more we hold on to that clarity, the more we carry on to that perfection, knowing that it's all from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the less we have to cry later. Because even at times of pain, we know it has meaning. We know it has purpose. And therefore, yes, there are times when it hurts and it's painful, and we do cry. But it'll be meaningful cries. It'll be understanding of a sense of it's coming from our loving Father who really does believe in us, because there's nothing else that could possibly happen to. Lastly, there was once a person, his job was to, as they paid these people, these guides over, to cross people over the border from different countries. This was going through deserts and over mountains, as it was typical back in the day. And he crossed over the family. So of course he had certain weapons on him. But he didn't realize that after he crossed over that family, of how alone he was going back. Yes, he was in charge of them. He had a responsibility of taking his family over until he crossed the border safely with them. But at least he had company and he was busy with that. But when he was distracted and he didn't have anyone else, he got so nervous and so anxious over every little thing that moved. He had one little idea, he just turned around and sprayed it with bullets. One little noise somewhere in the back, a twig breaking, a little roar, and somewhere in the distance just sprayed more bullets. And he kept on shooting because he had a lot of ammo. He kept on shooting, obviously brought along. Until he realized it came to a point where he heard a roar, which wasn't so in the distance, was pretty close by. He didn't know what to do. And he looks down and he sees he has one bullet left. We're holding at that same point in life. Mitzvah Hashem will have many more times, many more years. We'll live ad Me'av Esther. Hopefully Mashiach will come as soon as possible. But either way, we'll be living through it. Hopefully. But the point is, we went through our derech. We went through our Rosh Hashanah. We went through our Yom Kippur. We're heading to Zman Simcha Seinu, which is the time with the apex of Simcha of the year. And we bring out all that Simcha. where we sit in the sukkah, and it's just us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There's nothing else there. Ein od milvado. There's nothing else that exists. When it's just us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we feel that ultimate simcha. We might not have much. We're in a sukkah. No matter how nice you make it, after everything's said and done, but it's just us and Hashem. When you have that clarity, you have that feeling, you can spread that mission, you live that mission. And Hashem will guide you where exactly, how does that play out, be it in this form of business, this form of giving over to others, this way of inspiring others. Let HaKadosh Baruch Hu guide you. He'll set the waves, he'll set the path. But we have to first have that clarity, he's in charge, he's driving that car. And then he'll take us to wonderful places. So as we look back, we come to the sukkahs, we have to look at ourselves as if we have one shot left. There's a roar in the not so distant ahead. And we have one shot. Let's daven to Hashem that we can make that shot count. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Shkach, we're going to open up the floor now for a few questions. A few questions that we had during the broadcast. A few of them I wrote down. We'll start with a few light questions, a little shkach, I guess, shkach halacha. The first question is, how do we understand Techias HaMesim? It's a tough question.
It is. I'm not so sure this is the place to discuss this in such a way.
We can go to the next question. How do we ensure our children don't go off the derech?
Wow, I'm definitely not. I'm not the person really to discuss these type of questions. Definitely not in a 30-second pitch, but I give just a little bit to what we spoke about. A little bit what we spoke about is one of the greatest. You take what everyone's saying today about keeping kids on. Obviously, one of the greatest forms is you look back at yourself, you look back at ourselves, their happiest times we had. No one went off the derech by learning Tosfos in a wrong way. No girl went off by not learning a Ramban properly. But kids do go off when they're not experiencing simcha in their lives. That's clear. Today is more we're confused, and we will go where we're feeling like we count. If we're counting by friends who are not the greatest, then that's where we're going to go to. We're going to count a place that give us some form of sense of happiness, even in a very superficial and obviously potentially very dangerous way. We're going to go there also. That is where kids will be going if they don't feel that satisfaction comes from other places. So the more we give that sense of mission, we talk B'tachon, we live Hashem, we talk Hashem in a real sincere way. We don't just say Baruch Hashem and all these types of Ezra Hashems and as if it's by rote, as if it doesn't mean anything. But they show we mean it. And we discuss it, obviously at age-appropriate levels, and we talk about our maturity, how, we'd love, hopefully Hashem will make this work. I don't know how we could do this, but hopefully Hashem will make this person feel better, these type of ways, but it means real, and Hashem becomes a reality by them. And there's a certain sense of simcha when it comes to that, a certain sense of clarity that they see their parents feel better, less anxious when they reach out to Hashem and they throw in the Hashem card, then that gives that kids all the security that they need today. And they feel like the advantage that we have is there's so much confusion, there's so much destruction out there. They're looking. It's easy to get them right now. They're literally like fish right in front of the bait. We just have to drop the bait into the water. And that's all you have to do is just act in a proper way of the simcha. Bring out. You have a yom tov. It's so easy. You bring in a yom tov of simcha. You get into the daled minim. You discuss it. You spend money on it. You spend some more money on the yom tov. You spend family time together. That families have a time to spend together without any extra distractions. We could say it all the time. We could hear all the time. But when we actually do it, we see the difference. When kids will have choices, every child has that choice to follow these friends or those friends, to go after this vice or that vice. They'll know one thing is they'll clear. If they have the simcha at home, if they have the contentment at home, if they have that feeling of my family is living with a mission, my family has pride in something, they have conviction in Hashem and all that it means, they will not veer off. You'll give them the best tools. There's always exceptions to everything, obviously, and Hashem has a path, Hashem has a reason. But for the most part, we'll be doing our utmost ishtadlus. When we do that, we give them that love, that sense of belonging, that sense of security. That's the best thing we could possibly hope for.
We have another question, a little halacha on sukkahs. Is eating in the sukkah mandatory the whole 2 days? I don't have my own sukkah. That's why it's hard to get a sukkah. I will appreciate your answer.
So I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly.
Other factors.
There's a lot of other variables obviously involved here. Obviously, there is no sukkah, and you couldn't access a sukkah. Then there is no chiyuv. Obviously, someone's on the way. They're traveling somewhere. They have a medical reason why they have to be in some far out place, and there's no chance to give a sukkah or something else here. Of course, if there's no chiyuv, there's no ability to. First of all, obviously, we're talking about older males. I'm saying we're talking about only a male over bar mitzvah, over 13, who has a chiv to eat in a sukkah. If you can't eat, if you don't, the better thing would be is, I guess, if you're in extenuating circumstances, just not, not to have anything that would, you try to get there for a meal in terms of to wash and to eat a mezonos in a sukkah. If that you can't, then just eat a shahakal or anything else outside. That's not a mezonos or a mitzi outside. But obviously, this really needs a personal, rabbi, or you could contact the number directly afterwards, and we can discuss this in a more personal fashion.
Right, I think we have one or two more. I'm not sure if this one is really answerable, but it said when the tragedy in Las Vegas took place, is that also a message from Hashem?
That's 100%. Every single thing that happens in the world is a message for us, especially if you're hearing about it. It's definitely a message for us. I'm not one to say this is the message. I have no idea what that means, but there are obviously lessons that we can take from it. The lessons are, a few things that obviously come to mind. I'm sure it's something that comes to your mind. If it reminds you of something or it gets you to be more vigilant in something, that itself is a tremendous lesson. To realize that, a person, you can't even go to a concert. A person, you can't even go outside. I mean, Las Vegas is frequented by tens and tens of thousands of Jews, hopefully for the most part for trade shows. But for the most part, they're frequented by many, many, many people, and anyone could have been there, and anyone could have been in the vicinity, and this can happen anywhere. It doesn't just happen to happen. Don't fall for it by saying it happened at a country music concert and it happened only in Las Vegas. This could happen anywhere, as we've seen already throughout history. The point is, Ein Od Milvadei. We have Hashem to believe in. As we know, every bullet has its address. Everyone has their time. As long as we don't do our stupid things, Hashem is watching over us. Hashem is taking care of us. And just reinforce our emunah in Hashem and do what we need to do in the best way possible.
And last question that we have, and we'll let you go. We really appreciate all your time. Again, it's Rabbi Pinchas Weinberger. He's the Rav of Kehilas based Tefillah in Inwood, the Rosh Yeshiva Nishmas Torah. The question is about jealousy. How not to be jealous of your friends when good things are happening to them. Let's say, if a friend, it might be more common, girls, I don't know, if a friend gets married and girls also in Shidduchim, and how can they really be truly happy for them and not be jealous? And they truly want to be happy, but they're jealous.
It's an excellent question. Again, this is not going to be satisfied in the next 2.5 minutes that we have, but I'll try to do my best. As we know, jealousy is one of the worst things. Rekavat Samas Kina, it says our bones rot through jealousy. Jealousy eats at our core. It kills us. It destroys our day. And we can't think of anything. Forget about just, people are in pain. They get too much attention. Other people can't handle it. They can't fagin yenim simchas. They can't even handle when other people are yenim saras. They can't even handle when other people are in pain. The point is to try to get us to live our life, to do things for yourself. Obviously, I'm talking about things that are socially appropriate and obviously halachically appropriate. But to live your life based on what you need to do for yourself. The more you take less of people's perceptions and feelings into account. Again, I'm talking about negative ones, or the way they judge you into account, and you do things because you feel it's the right thing. The less you'll have a problem of jealousy. Which means I'm doing what I have to be doing because this is what I need to be done. I can't worry about it. If you have to save someone because someone's not feeling well and you're running out and you don't do your hair yet, or you don't have your shoes on. Of course you do it because that's you have to save your life. Everyone's gonna be thinking you're a weirdo. There's something wrong with you. Who cares? I'm doing what I need to be doing. So yes, usually life is not that extreme, but whatever you have to be doing, you're doing because you have to. That's the right thing for you, and you feel this is appropriate. Obviously, that it should be appropriate, but you feel it's the best shot. The more you do it that way, the more you live life that way, the less you take other people into consideration. Again, of course, to be sensitive to other people. I'm talking about living your life. Then you'll just be that much more confident in yourself. The more confident and secure you are with yourself, the less you care about other people's feelings. I mean, in a bad way. The more you'll be happy for other people. I have no problems. The more you exhibit simcha, true simcha, which is clarity. Clarity. You know what you're living for. I know what I got to do. Obviously, Hashem has a mission for me. I need to work on myself. Maybe this person not. Some people get married and they have a lot of sorrows afterwards. Some people, it's easier for them to take care of their issues that they need to deal with now, so that when they get married, it'll be that much more of a meaningful marriage, and that much more easier for it to give over for the children. Hashem has something for each one of them. Life is not fair, so to speak. All men are not created equal, but all men are created with the goodness of Hashem and having the best of themselves in mind. If we focus, life is just me and Hashem. It's just Hashem and I. It's Ein Od Milvadei. We don't have to worry about other people's jealousy. Don't analyze it. Don't ruminate about it. Don't think about it too much. Just focus on my job with me and Hashem, with Hashem and I. You focus on that, what I have to do, and I'm going to do it. and therefore I'm going to be happy. Is it painful at times? Of course it's painful. We live in a normal social life, social world. Obviously everything's analyzed. But the more we live for ourselves in a proper, healthy way, the less will we focus on other people, the less other people's lives and perceptions and ill feelings towards us will ever affect us in a negative manner. And hopefully as we work in our simcha together, we know mitzvah gedol liyas b'simcha tamid, which is access our simcha more at the time of Zman Simcha Seinu. There'll be less jealousy in the world, there'll be less bad taiva in the world, less false covenant in the world, and we'll start experiencing HaKadosh Baruch Hu's perfect world and tapping into it on a much more present basis.
And I think we're going to end in a second, just rapid fire. There's a couple more questions coming in. Baruch Hashem, there are a few people on here. Someone wrote, how does one not be jealous of a guy who has a lot of money and davens 3 times a day and always gets recognition in shul? But I think you just answered sort of that. Another question, one of the last ones here, I think, is how do you stay away from Lashon Hara? If you can answer it in 10 seconds or less, how do you stay away from Lashon Hara?
I personally think it all follows the same mode. You could stay away from Lashon Hara. Usually the mode of Lashon Hara is we're looking to put other people down. Whether we like to say that as dirty as it sounds, when you're saying bad about other people, it's because I need to get my agenda across, my feelings across, my business across, my shidduch across, my pride across. You don't have to bring other people into the consideration. The more you have clarity with who you are with yourself, it doesn't make a difference what other people's money have. It doesn't make a difference how good they are. It doesn't make a difference how much attention other people get. It doesn't mean I have to put other people down. You can live your life. It's just you and Hashem. So what do I care? What do I care? And I'm telling you, the best way to do it is start living your life in your quiet, personal way, with just more conviction, more pride, more confidence. Just doing things as you feel that's the right thing to do. And by nature, by default, you'll just be dropping all of that, the need to satisfy everybody else, doing things just because of everyone else. So you're not living your life based on 100 people around you. You're living your life based on what you need to do, what Hashem wants from you. When you live life that way, you have much less of a taiva to speak Lashon Hara. You have much less of a desire to look at other people negatively, look at that person always getting the attention, look at that person with all of his money. There's nothing wrong. Let him have wonderful money as long as he's doing the right things for it. And even if he's not, it's not for me to judge him. I'm not his father, I'm not his brother, I'm not his Rav. So therefore, let him do what he wants to do. It doesn't affect me. You have your life to live. And when you have your mission, nothing else can make a difference. When you're saving someone else's life, we couldn't care less what other people think. When you have your child to take care of, you couldn't care less what other people think. Realize your life is no less important than your child, is no less important than saving someone else's life. Save your own life. By doing it, you'll just focus on your mission at hand. We exclude all that negative, all that static electricity, all that dark noise that's out there from other people. We don't need to bring other people into our lives for the wrong reasons, and therefore we just remain true to our own mission.
Okay. I think that's it. Baruch Hashem.
Have a wonderful Yom Tov.
Finish this. Let me just get this off. How do people on?